So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let me ask you something. What do you like? Name something you like. Someone. What do you like? Hannah and Sarah Rose. I think we all like them too, but you have a bias, I understand. What else do people like? Money, okay, ice cream. And with money, you can buy lots of ice cream. I like how this is going. What? Oh, chocolate? Chocolate's good. What else? What'd you say, Jill? Sushi. Really? Huh? Pizza. Oh, yeah. Huh? Yeah, I just asked what people like. You're just throwing them out. All food. Huh? Laughing. Okay. So we have every one of us has our likes and our dislikes. The things that we're completely into and the things that we're just like, blah, when we first see them and come across them. Each one of us is very different. And in part, what makes us different, what sets us apart, what distinguishes us one from the other are just those things that we like and we dislike. So someone may like chocolate, someone may be like, blah, I don't like chocolate at all. I'm totally into, I don't know, gummy bears. Other people may think gummy bears are kind of the most disgusting thing in the world, that kind of consistency, and they'll want something else. Some people will like certain kinds of TV shows, some people will like certain kinds of vacations, some people like certain kinds of locations. We all have different likes. However, there is one thing which I am relatively certain that absolutely everyone here in this room likes, and that is we all like to be right. Right? We may have different tastes, we may have different styles, but there is not a single person in this room, I guarantee, who does not like being right. In fact, I'll go so far as to say this is not something that just all of us share in this room, but this is a fairly consistent human characteristic. We like being right. And not only do we like being right, we like it so much we don't even care what we're right about. All we care about is that we're right. So it could be something big and important. It can be something small. It can be something meaningful. It can be something completely insignificant. It can be simply taking a bet on whether or not someone is going to come on time for something. It could be who's going to win the election or what that diagnosis is going to say. It doesn't matter. We get a thrill out of being right, irrespective of what the subject is. And why is that? Why is it that all of us like being right? Among the other things that being right gives us is it allows us to feel intelligent. Being right makes us feel smart, trustworthy, gives us a sense of our competence, in addition to reflecting the fact that we are in tune and in sync with our environment. These qualities, feeling smart, competent, trustworthy, and reflecting an awareness and an ability to judge our environment correctly, these qualities fill us up. These qualities make us feel good about who we are. And therefore, we all like being right. However, this week's Torah portion challenges us. This week's Torah portion shows us that there is something more important and vital to being right. Let us look at it. In chapter 10, we read about the initiation of Aaron and his sons and the dedication of the Mishkan, the portable tabernacle that the Israelites are going to schlep with them for their wanderings in the wilderness. This is a big moment. This is a joyous occasion. The Israelites are now creating a structure that in essence is going to allow them to carry God's presence with them once they leave Mount Sinai. How vital this structure was to their ongoing spiritual well-being can simply not be overstated. And here are Aaron and his sons, the ones who are going to officiate, who are going to run, who are going to control, who are going to make sure that that line of connection between the Israelites and God remains open. So this is a crucial moment in the lives of the Israelites. And what happens? After bringing forth certain offerings, Nadav and Avihu, Aaron's sons, come forth with an Eish Zarah, an unauthorized fire. And as I noted in my introduction to the Torah portion, they come forward with this unauthorized fire and they are zapped by God. Fire comes out from the Mishkan and totally consumes them. Everyone is in shock and absolutely unable to speak. And there they are, dead in front of Aaron. And Moses comes forward, offers words of comfort to Aaron, and tells him that he and his other sons must not take on private mourning for their loss, but that the whole community will mourn for them because they are still in priesthood mode. They still have the anointing oil on them. And so Aaron's ability to express his grief is somewhat limited by the public role that he's now taken on. Moses goes out, take care of a few things, settle the people down. He comes back in and he looks around and he notices that the public offering for purification, the sin offering, was allowed to be completely burnt up and not eaten by any of the priests. Now I know, to you and I, this may seem like a very small, insignificant detail. In fact, I suspect when many of us read the book of Leviticus and all of the details surrounding the sacrifices, that many of them might strike us as seemingly insignificant. However, the consuming of the sin offering was not insignificant at all, because the consuming of the sin offering was a reflection that the sin that the Israelites had committed, the impurity that they had brought into this world, had been dispensed with, had been taken care of, had figuratively and literally been eaten up. And not only did the priests eat it and thereby, in a sense, take away their sin, but by eating it and living, it showed that holiness is stronger than sin, that holiness can combat sin, contain sin, and overcome sin. The eating of this sacrifice, while a minor and seemingly insignificant detail to you and I, was absolutely vital to its functioning. And Moses comes in and he sees they let it be burnt rather than be eaten, which was the right thing. And Moses says to his brother, "Goodness gracious, what have you done? You've messed this all up. You were meant to eat the sacrifice." And Aaron looked at his brother and said, "With all that's befallen me now, would it really have been appropriate to eat it? Would that have been, in a sense," he said, "the wise thing to do?" And the Torah says, "V'yishma Moshe," and Moses heard, "V'yitav be'enav," and it was good in his eyes. Now note what the text says. The text does not say that Moses heard what his brother Aaron said and said, "You know something? You're right." Because that's not true. Aaron wasn't right. Moses was right. And like I said before, he was probably feeling pretty good about that, as being right makes all of us feel pretty good. However, Moses understands that even though he's right, it might not be the wisest course. And so he doesn't say, "Oh, ata nachon, oh, you're right." And the Torah doesn't say, "Oh, Aaron was tzodek, he was correct." It just says that it was good in Moses' eyes. In other words, he realized, for as right as he was, the wiser route was what his brother Aaron described. And that's the challenge that the Torah places before us. Because the Torah understands how good it feels to be right, and how we naturally draw ourselves into conversations and will argue our position in order to prove how right we are. And the Torah understands that being right is not the same thing as being wise. And it is the path of wisdom that we must follow, not the path of our own rightness. See, being right is all about me. See, for me to be right, you have to be wrong, which makes me feel good. I'm right, you're wrong. Being right is about me, it's not about you. Being right is about how I feel about myself. Being right confirms my status at this moment in time. However, being wise is different. Being wise is being aware. Being wise is, as I spoke to Hannah, about being able to see there are others in this world. And in that awareness, there is an opening. Being wise allows other qualities to come to play. Qualities like humility and compassion and grace and gratitude, all of which are completely irrelevant if I insist on living in my own rightness. Now, sometimes being right and being wise, they overlap, but more often than not, they don't. I first got a real hint of this one time when, as a college student, I was home in New York. I just had lunch with my father. This was our routine. I would come home from college, and the very first day we'd go out together to have lunch. And we're walking in Manhattan, walking down the street, and I'm crossing the street, and I have the right of way in every single element of this situation. I have the right of way by the light. I have the right of way. I'm a pedestrian. I have the right of way. I'm in the crosswalk, and I got there before the car even came close. And then the car swung around, a nice yellow taxi cab. So you can see where this is going, right? So this cab swings around, and my father reaches out and grabs my arm and stops me as the cab then continues to pull around. And I turn to my father and I say, "D, why did you stop me? I had the right of way." To which my father looked at me and without missing a beat said, "Oh, I'm sure that'll be a comfort when you're dead." I was right, and I would have been dead. My father, at that one moment, opened my eyes to this very powerful truth, that being right, as good as it feels, and as much as we insist on being right and assume that we are right, is not, in fact, nearly the most important, helpful, or useful thing in this world. On the contrary, in many situations, being right is very unhelpful. When I'm having an argument with my wife, when I'm engaged in conversations with my children, with my coworkers, with strangers, with friends, any number of times, in any number of topics, politics, money, sex, love, I can assert that I am right, but in doing so, I often shut off and shut out that other person. And I do them no favors whatsoever. There is an expression. It says the following: perfection is the enemy of the good. The idea being that we can be so focused on getting something absolutely perfect that we not only miss, but we miss even seeing the good that we can do. So wrapped up are we in being perfect because, like being right, it makes us feel good about ourselves. It makes us feel secure. We no longer see what is right in front of us. So too, I would say the following, that my insistence on being right is the enemy of my being wise. Because in my insistence, I miss the chance to listen. In my insistence, I miss the chance to acknowledge the other. And in missing that chance, I fail to perform that most vital commandment within our tradition, the Ahavta l're'echa kamocha, to love one's neighbor as oneself. It is, I said, a great thing to be right, and it does make us feel good. But if we're to truly make this a better world, perhaps we need to grow up a little bit. Perhaps we need to set aside this childish insistence on my being right all the time and walk down a different path, a path of wisdom, a path of Torah, a path that brings us to peace. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.